Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for throwing the funeral party my late brother wanted? I'm 31 meters. My brother Tony was 30 male, and he passed away last Sunday. He was very ill, and I have been taking care of him for the past 3 years. We went to foster care as toddlers, because our parents did drugs and our aunts and uncles couldn't keep us in their homes. We reconnected with our BO family when we were in our early 20s. We were never adopted, but were fostered by the most amazing lady, our Mama Rosa, who fostered us from ages 12, 13 till we became 18. We both lived in her home even after that. She is the closest thing to a mother I have. Our BO parents are now clean, and we have an alright relationship. My brother wanted his funeral to basically be a surprise party, and I threw it. Mama Rosa helped me so much, and we spent most of the day, yesterday, crying. But threw the party anyway. When people, mostly friends, came to the funeral, they got a party hat and a drink. And a short letter from Tony explaining why it's a party. His friends, knowing him, took it pretty well. Laughed it out. Cried it out with me and Mama Rosa, and honored his memory. When our BO parents and a few aunts came, they lost their shit when they saw what was going on. My BO dad called me a disgrace and BO mom said I should never have disrespected their son like that. I explained why it is a party in the first place, and they just said they are disappointed and should have known not to expect better from me. After they called me some names, I told them to just leave. They left. AITA, my condolences for your loss. By prioritizing drugs over their children, your biological parents disregarded both of their boys. They must stop talking and act appropriately. You are respecting Tony's wishes, not those of his parents, as you were closer to him than they were. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. Absolutely not. The a-hole have to admit the funeral you had made me smile. You gave your brother exactly what he wanted and everyone who knew him knew it was a representation of who he was. In years to come, when you talk about your brother and his send-off, you'll do it with a smile as you remember. Anyone who was offended by it just show that they didn't know him. Don't waste your time worrying about them. Anyone who was offended by it just show that they didn't know him. Excellent point. BO parents should be told exactly this, assuming op doesn't go NC over this. NTA 1, you honored your brother's wishes too. Let me tell you, a funeral party is a grand idea. Must celebrate the life of your loved ones. What? Has nobody been to an Irish wake? A big party to laugh and cry and remember the dearly departed. Am I the antagonist for not covering for my ex-wife and letting my daughter know the truth? So I, 34 male, have a 13-year-old daughter Marissa with my ex-wife Kate, 35F. Me and Kate started dating senior year or HS. Married at 21 and had Marissa that same year. Me and Kate divorced when Marissa was 7. Nothing nefarious happened. We just were always at each other's throats. I felt like she didn't enjoy being intimate anymore. Felt like she was cold, and she was always on my ass about things. Constantly demanding me to do things. The divorce went smoothly. No alimony or child support, because at the time Kate was making double what I was as a nurse. We split the large expenses for Marissa right down the middle. It was tough for me at first, because I didn't make that much, and Kate never gave me a break, always making me pay half. We have a tradition with Marissa. We usually take a summer trip and a winter trip with her, alternating which parent takes her on each trip. We total up the cost of the trip and split it in half. I've done well for myself the last few years and now it's not even a worry like it was when Marissa was younger. Kate remarried a dude with 3 kids who owned a restaurant. COVID shut down the restaurant. For the last year and a half I've been dating Jessica, 28F, who is a former friend of Kate. They have some beef for whatever reason. I stay out of it. So last year Kate comes to me and says she can't afford the trips this year. I didn't want to give her a break, but I remembered it was for Marissa, so I paid and took her on both. My daughter knows both of us pay for these trips typically. Kate comes to me again this year and says she can't afford the trip. She said her family needs all of her salary because her husband didn't find a job yet. I told her that really isn't my problem. She tells our daughter that mom and dad can't do the trip this year. Marissa was devastated and I was pissed. I told my daughter the trip was still on. My GF learned about the situation from me. She said I've taken her on so many trips already and wants to form a closer bond with Marissa, so she would like to go on the trip and pay for half of it. I told Kate that Jessica was paying her half, so she should thank her. Kate blows up, telling me that Jessica wasn't allowed on the trip or she won't let Marissa go. I reminded her we have a custody agreement, so that won't be happening. And I fully intend to let Marissa know that Jessica is helping make this happen, as I think it's right to give Jessica credit and Marissa needs to know that. Kate is calling me an R, saying I'm purposely trying to make her look bad. I said that she has made her financial decisions and those aren't my issue, and I shouldn't cover for her anymore. Our daughter deserves to know which parent is making things happen, and Jessica deserves that credit as it might help them form a closer bond. Am I the antagonist? You may easily inform Marissa that you're taking your girlfriend on the vacation and that she's helping to pay for it. Don't talk about her mom's finances. Parental alienation, however, occurs if you make a huge issue out of your ex-failure spouses to pay and unpleasant behavior. If you tell Marissa, let her know what a total a-hole you'll be. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. NTA, assuming you share the truth in a non-judgmental, level-handed manner. Your daughter is old enough to handle the truth. Be clear your mother's financial circumstances don't currently afford her a luxury like a trip. That's okay. These things happen in life, and how much you can afford is not a measurement of love. However, Jessica feels that these trips are important enough that she is going to help with the expense so that the trips can happen. That tells the truth without making Kate look bad. Exactly. Op needs to stay away from any kind of your mom doesn't love you enough to pay for the trip or things like that. But there's nothing wrong with just neutrally explaining the facts. So, not the a-hole, as long as Op sticks to that. Info: did you ask Kate to give you a break or plan a cheaper trip back then and she refused? Does Kate bring her husband and stepkids when it's her turn? Or has it always been a mom/dad plus Marissa only trip? Does Marissa want and prefer Jessica come? Did you ask? Do you guys typically announce to Marissa who buys what? You're claiming she knows both of you pay. But how? Was there actually a we each pay 50% convo? Did you consider the effect on your co-parenting relationship, and thus the effect on Marissa, before you started dating someone her mom has beef with? You conveniently try to gloss over it with for whatever reason, but what is the reason for the beef? NTA. At 13. Your daughter is old enough to understand that your ex-wife may not be able to afford everything she wants, and that it doesn't mean your ex loves her any less. Simply be honest with your daughter. Am I the antagonist for applying to adopt a dog after my daughter moved? I feel like I'm going crazy and my younger daughter said we should post here to get responses. I'm 52F. Older daughter Ava 24F. Younger daughter Ellie 13F. Husband Mark is 50 meters. I lost my first husband in an accident when our daughter was just a few months old. It was a devastating and difficult time in both of our lives, and it took a while to get things back together. When my older daughter was 8, I met my current husband. We dated for a few years before getting married. When Ava was 10, Mark moved in after we were married with his senior dog who unfortunately ended up dying 4 months after moving. We then had Ellie when Ava was 11. Mark and Ava have always been close. Same with Ava and Ellie, but Ava didn't like Mark's dog when she was living with us. She thinks dogs are gross and doesn't like to be around them. So, we agreed that, as long as Ava lived in the house, we wouldn't get another dog. Mark and Ellie both love dogs and volunteer at a local shelter. Ellie has always really wanted a dog, but we had promised Ava there wouldn't be a dog in the house while she lived there. We kept this agreement in place while Ava was in college, since obviously she would need to come home for breaks and visits, and she lived with us for about a year and a half after graduating, while saving up money to move. Ava recently moved out officially because she got an amazing promotion and will need to live closer to her company in the city. It's been about 5 months since Ava has moved out, and the other day Mark and Ellie came home and said there's a dog at the shelter they volunteer at that they just fell in love with. I met him, and I love him a lot too. and we decided to put in an application for adoption. We talked to Ava and assured her we would train him excellently, that he wouldn't be allowed near the guest suite, so that she doesn't have to be uncomfortable when she visits. We also said if she doesn't want to deal with it still we would pay for a hotel room for visits. She was super annoyed and said even if she were to visit during the day, she'd have to be around a gross dog and she'd be disgusted the entire time she's in our house. She said it makes her not want to visit, and that we're making a decision that's alienating her from the family. I feel like there's no way to win here. I don't want to make Ava uncomfortable, but I also don't think it's fully fair that she can dictate what we do now that she's fully moved out. If I get the dog, Ava feels like I'm choosing Ellie over her, and if I don't, Ellie feels like I'm choosing Ava over her. We have always been a close and happy family and now this one issue is creating so much conflict. I don't know what to do, and I feel like I've messed up here somehow. So, am I enough for wanting to adopt a dog that I know Ava will hate? Ellie questioned her ex-girlfriend about whether it was appropriate for her to now control what her family does with their dog because she has moved out. Setting some boundaries would be beneficial for both of you and for her because, to be honest, she seems like a pampered brat. Comment by team member Taylor. Now for the top comments. NTA. Ava needs to realize the world doesn't revolve around her likes and dislikes. She can learn to deal with the dog, just like she did when she was younger. You're not choosing any child over the other. You're choosing to get a dog. Get the dog. If Ava doesn't want to come over because of the dog, you can spend time with her outside the home. Good grief. She moved out and has her own place. Why can't she let her family be happy and be happy they kept their promise to her? Yeesh. NTA. She's completely moved out, meaning she won't even be around the dog all that often unless she visits every weekend. And unless she's deathly allergic to it. She's 24 years old and can find a different solution. You can meet her outside the home if you had to. Is there a reason beyond them being gross that she has such a strong aversion to dogs? Am I the antagonist for leaving the house almost as soon as I walked in after a week of being away? Long story short, I 29F brought my 3 kids to my mum's for the past week for a little mini vacation that husband could not attend due to work. He was fine with this cause he doesn't like my mom. I left last Friday and got back to our state this morning. When I walked through that door the house was a pigsty. Dirty dishes everywhere but the sink. Clothes everywhere. Half full soda cans strewn throughout the house. Even on my desk, which is behind my husband's. There were easily 8 soda cans. 4 bowls. Silverware. Plates. Water glasses and napkins. On my porch there were at least 12 beer cans piled up beside the returnable bin because his buddy Tyler came over Saturday to drink and apparently never cleaned up. Multiple takeout boxes and bags in both the kitchen and bedroom. My husband was in playing video games with 2 open bags of chips beside him and like 5 cans of soda on his desk. He nonchalantly asks me how my trip was as I was looking at the filth he created. It was spotless when I left because I grew up in a trashed home and have severe triggers when it comes to a messy house, so I always clean. Our youngest son said something about how dirty the place was, and my husband said, "Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't had time to clean." Yet he had time to play video games. So I left. Took the kids to the beach. I can't do filth. I truly cannot do it. He knows this. He knew when I was coming home too because I called him as soon as we got back to Austin. So he had roughly 2 hours to even attempt to clean up a bit and didn't. So anyways, I leave. He starts sending texts asking why I left because he missed us, and I said I refused to come home to that much filth, and that I found it over the top disrespectful that he would just leave it there, assuming I would pick it all up as my guess. He gets pissed and says he has been at work and just hasn't had time and wanted to spend some time relaxing on his video game before cleaning and sweating his ass off. I ignore it. He says I'm being controlling and over obsessive and need to chill out because he will get it done. So I text him about an hour ago after 4 hours of being gone and ask if it's done and he says no, that he had stuff to do. So I booked and hotel and told him I won't be returning until it's finished. He is now pissed saying he missed the kids and wants to see them now, but I'm keeping them from him all because I can't deal with a bit of a mess. Am I the antagonist? I entered a pigsty. How did he manage to make that much mess by himself? And how did he let his friend enter his untidy house and add to the mess while you were gone? Did he turn back into a teenager? He ought to be humiliated that even his kids were reprimanding him. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA. I'm just really wondering if he didn't have time to clean up the house when he was all by himself. When do you normally have time to clean up the house after 3 kids and 2 adults? Is he even a participant in the daily cleaning? Is he even a participant in the daily cleaning? Good question. Oh, please answer this. NTA, the kids don't need to live in filth. He is acting like a toddler, throwing a tantrum because he was told to pick up his toys before he gets his dinner. That's just hurtful to toddlers. My toddler cleans up better than this man. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to share my bathroom with my sister? My 15F sister, 18F, Luna, came out 6 months ago as trans. Okay with me and everyone. After that, my mum forced me to start sharing a room with her. Previously she was sharing a room with her twin brother, but now he moved to my former room, which is smaller and Luna, and I got the big one. I didn't really mind that, though it was hard because I never had to share a room before. The problem is the bathroom upstairs used to be just for me and downstairs for my brothers, but now Luna wants to use the bathroom upstairs and she is a mess. She doesn't lift the toilet seat. She doesn't want to see anything related to periods because it gives her dysphoria, and she doesn't let me get ready for school the time I usually take. She says I'm discriminating against her, but I told her I don't give a shit about what she wants to be called. I just want the peace and tranquility I had back. I don't care about giving her reaffirmation if it comes at the expense of everyone having to accommodate every little demand she has. So I said the bathroom is mine, and my parents got super pissed because Luna is already having a hard time, etc. I get it, but why can't I take whatever fucking time I want in the bathroom? It's stupid. Edit. 1. Using the word sister won't harm your fingers, people. She is a woman and my sister, so treat her with respect, TF. 2. I have My Lady products on a shelf and next to the toilet. Luna wants me to leave them in my mum's bedroom and to pick them up whenever I need to. She doesn't even let me have them in my own fucking bedroom. Which OFC, I told her to fuck off. 3. She pees standing or something because the floor is always dirty with pee and so is the seat. Disgusting. The cleaning lady only comes once per day, and since Luna doesn't do shit with her life and stays at home, there's always pee on the floor, and the bathroom can't be cleaned more than once because the maid would die of fatigue. Get it too. You, Wench Hunter 25 is a fucking unsufferable transphobic asshole who's never felt the touch of a human being. Luna requires therapy and shouldn't be made to use the restroom with someone who is menstrually incontinent. Luna's gender identity has nothing to do with this. Rather, she disregarded a public area. Additionally, the seat is horribly unsanitary. Comment by team member Charlie. Now for the top comments. NTA. I feel for you. Hopefully she's not going to use the discrimination card every time she doesn't get her own way. She does sometime, but it's because her brain is rotten by TikTok. NTA, she became a giant misogynist the second they told you to hide your menstrual products. You live there too, and deserve to feel comfortable and unashamed of your natural bodily functions. You need them. You should not have go hide them, or clean up after her if she is messy. I can understand someone having dysphoria with this, but at the same time Op has already compromised, by force from the sounds of it, and is sharing her room. If her sister can't handle the bathroom being shared with a CI's sister, then Luna needs to keep sharing a bathroom with her twin. This isn't a public restroom. It's in a private residence. I, female, shared a bathroom with my brother. We are both CIs, and my NBFAB sibling Ann. I mean, it's a bathroom, lol. Residential bathrooms are not generally divvied out by gender identity. If Op's bathroom is emotionally unsafe for Luna, simple. She uses the other bathroom, not the a-hole. Edit. Left out a word. Am I the antagonist for not inviting my stepson I have a 9-year son and a 13-year stepson, and I'm currently pregnant with mine and my husband's first child together. My stepson and I have a very cordial relationship, but he prefers to keep me at a distance. I've always respected his boundaries. For my first sonogram appointment, my husband couldn't attend. The boys both have summer activities during the week. The plan was for me to attend the appointment alone, but at the last minute I decided I didn't want to be alone and asked my son if he wanted to go to my appointment, and he did. I picked my son up early and took him with me to my doctor's appointment. Afterwards we went and got ice cream and then picked my stepson up from his activity at the normal time. My son excitedly showed my stepson the sonogram, but my stepson was quiet and didn't show interest. Later, after dinner, my husband asked me to talk with him. We sat down and he asked why I took my son but not his to my appointment. I said I wanted someone with me because it was a big moment in my life. Since he couldn't make it, I took my son, who I'm very close with me as emotional support. I also pointed out that his son didn't seem particularly interested. My husband said his son was really upset and spoke to him when he got home about how hurt he was that my son was invited and not him. I said I wasn't invalidating his feelings, but this was my medical appointment, and I made this decision for my comfort. I get that the kids come first 99% of the time, but I feel like my medical appointment about the pregnancy inside my body is very personal, and I should be able to do what makes me most comfortable. My husband got really quiet. He said, I understand how you feel. Then he walked away. He didn't say anything to me this morning when he left for work, and he took my stepson with him, which is weird because usually I drop off both boys. I need an impartial take. Am I the asshole? Your stepson could actually appreciate it if you made an effort to get to know him better. In my opinion, it was a squandered chance to give him a sense of family. The newborn, who will be his brother, may serve as a means of strengthening family ties. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. AITA, not quite for the reason you asked about though. It is totally inappropriate to use your 9-year as an emotional support person. If this was a family event, take both boys if they are interested. If this is not a family event and is something private and personal as you said, it was not appropriate to make your 9-year your emotional support or buffer in an emotionally charged situation. Aside from that, you should have taken both boys for ice cream after the stepson's extracurriculars. And what if the ultrasound revealed a problem? Poor kid would be traumatized. AITA, look, it's generally thought that a step-parent treats a stepchild like their own kid, as both kids are getting a new sibling. It would have been better to ask both kids if they wanted to go to the appointment. Maybe this clearly preferential treatment is part of the problem with your relationship. You're also a major R for thinking of a 9-year-old as your emotional support. Do not use your kids as emotional support. Exactly who uses a kid that's 9 years old as emotional support? She's a grown woman and shouldn't be using her 9-year-old son as emotional support.